We're joined on the phone by Dr. Donald Agumenu. He's Executive Director for Water for Rural Africa. Now, they are in support of a total lockdown. He's on the phone now. Dr. Agumenu, I've got to say, you would not have been the first person, I would guess, to support a total lockdown, considering how much you know about the lack of basic utilities like water. How can we practicalize a lockdown when even the Ghana Water Company is warning us that we need to ration water?
Yes, thank you. And I use this opportunity to wish all the listeners and the entire public the peace of God, the love of God, and safety. Talking about this situation, we're actually in difficult times. This is not like a business as usual. Whichever way we look at the approaches or the strategies, I don't think we can have 100% situation. That notwithstanding, we need to take some strong measures. And I must say that what the leadership has put in place so far, so good. What is important, especially when it comes to water, already we have water scarcity across the country and that of Africa. So it's important at this moment for even the private sector, not only government. For instance, if you look at a company like Zoom Lion, they've been at the forefront of sanitation. This is a time for them to deploy the resources they have to providing water to especially the affected communities. Because if water is actually the central thing for washing hands, keeping our environment clean, and even having a healthy life, what about rural communities without water? Some don't even have the water to drink or clean water to drink, moreover talking about washing of hands. So all hands must come on board for us to fight this thing as a common enemy. So when it comes to lockdown, it is a complex thing. We may not necessarily have to do it in 100% way. We have to ration it, if I will put it that way, because, for instance, when you look at the three epicenters, Accra, Tema, Kumasi, the approach is how can we look at key issues? For instance, you go to the major malls. How sure are we that even the containers, the cans, the foods that we buy are not are safe or are not infested? So it's very important for us to see all these things and now see, assuming we lock up those shops, what are we going to do? Do we have water in the homes? Do we have food in the homes? Then that is where the private sector and the public sector would come in. And I believe that a lot is going on when it comes to the strategy formulations to tackle this very situation. So
let me ask you about this, Dr. Agumenu, if you don't mind. Let's even assume that there isn't a shortage of water from the Ghana Water Company. Let's assume that that's not a problem to worry about. Just the structure of our communities poses a challenge to a lockdown. We have compound houses that have about 20, 30 rooms. Each one has about 70 people in it, and they are sharing 2 public toilets, and the landlord has locked one of them for his family. All right, the rest of them are sharing the other. You've got about 12.5% of this country that are sharing taps, even if the water is flowing. You've got an 81% community that doesn't have access to public toilets. So how do you lock down a country that has this sort of structure at the bottom? How, practically?
Okay, this approach is not new. And in crisis time like this, we need to look at two-sided approach of it. Number one, I may not be 100% correct, but you and I can agree that we cannot have a 100% situation like I said earlier. If you live in a home where you have a compound house, they all share the same facility. This is crisis time. We need to manage it. That is why it's important for us to quickly, in some countries, people started buying toilet rolls. Why? Because they know that this is what we are moving into. So if we want to have 100% satisfactory solution in place before we implement a specific approach, we may fail at the end of the day.
So
but
what would an
80%
satisfactory or 70% satisfactory solution look like?
70% satisfactory, I think, is achievable. Number one, see, as we speak now, the transport system is partially shut down, and it's for good. Nobody is hustling. Nobody is feeling it bad, because at the end of the day, they understand that this is a critical issue, and we all have to adhere to government protocols for our own safety. And they are not complaining. The only thing is, we know that it's going to stress everybody, but it's for good. So can we try it at least for a week, if not 2 weeks, to see how it's going to work?
Dr. Agumenu, I've got to thank you. I apologize so much, because there's a lot we can learn from you. I think we need to have another of these conversations. But for now, Dr. Donald Agumenu is with Water for Rural Africa. Thank you so much for joining us.